even know what a blog
Right.
was.
Right.
I said, blog? And I said, what is that? She said, Google it and find out. So I did. She said, you have helped all of us so much. You need to blog. And so I Googled blog to find out what that was, and I set my first little blog up. Now, of course, compared to where I'm at today, it was kind of primitive, but I got to share my heart in so many ways there. And that was the catalyst for that. And I had a 96-year-old, he just died recently, and 96-year-old pastor, Assembly of God pastor, who was my biggest fan.
Aww,
and he prayed for me every day, had my name on his desk, and prayed for me every day, Reverend James Mooney. And he always encouraged me to write. And he said, anytime you get to talk about Jesus, you do it. And so he read everything I wrote, and he was a big encouragement. So they really began saying, we want you to put something down in words.
So when you blog, I guess you still do some blogging.
Yes.
What you just like investigate, research a certain article or a certain topic, and you just start writing about that? Or is it just something that, it's like Holy Spirit just starts bubbling up stuff inside of you and you just start writing?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes. Often what I write about is what I'm going through at the time. If I'm struggling with something, or I'm excited about something, or those kind of things, I just think God's going to use my life to help others. So therefore I think, okay, well, if it's important to me, there's somebody else out there that needs to know that the new pressure cookers don't always blow up when you use them. But
somebody does need to know that. Not me. I'm not going to do it. But ask my husband. He'll do it.
But I just think if I'm going through that. And then sometimes, of course, as I'm reading, doing my daily Bible reading, I'll think, oh, man, yes, that's a truth for me right there. And then I try to remember, whether it's a truth for me, then it's a truth for somebody else, and I should share that with them, So I just think of it as a conversation with my friends. This is not anything I can use wrong punctuation sometimes, or maybe I'll use some incomplete sentences. It's not a book. It's a conversation between friends.
Right.
So that's what I write about.
And so in that blogging, does that bring healing to you as you're writing and blogging? What does it bring to you, regardless of what it does for other people?
Well, I never blog or write about something that God hasn't already been teaching me. So in the process, by the time it makes it to the blog, God's already taught me an awful lot about it. So, growth for myself. Of course, just the honor to think that somebody's going to read that,
right,
and that God's going to use those words. If I get a response back from somebody that tells me how much they enjoyed that, if they leave a comment, or even if they just pop it, if it's a subscriber, and you can subscribe on my blog, and you'll just get those automatically to your inbox. If they just kind of reply to that email, which I always encourage them to do. If you got a prayer request, if you want to talk about something, a thought, then just hit reply and reply. When you get those back, of course, the honor, just the humble feeling that God actually used something that I was working through to help somebody else. That's a great, great feeling.
Right. And so I just can see with the way your life has just, from the little girl we talked about last week, who had to hang on to the Gideon Bible, which has become so the foundation for Carmen Horne.
Yes.
Is the Word of God, and hanging on to that and knowing who Jesus is. Confident, founded on knowing I can trust Jesus through every kind of situation. And I think that, as you blog and as you're the life coach, then all those little things that have gone on in your life, you can gain from that and grab it and go, here, I can give this to you because this is what he's done for me. And so in your life coaching, is that some of the things you try to do, is say, hey, in this situation, this is how God worked for me?
Yes, and maybe every situation I haven't been through, but God tends to direct me towards people who need what I can offer. So it's almost like, you put your arm around somebody and you say, hey, I've been there too, and you're going to make it through this. And this is some of the things I did to make it through this.
But it's not counseling.
It's not counseling.
It's different. Counseling and coaching are different.
Yes. I would, when you visit a coach, you would be past that spot where you're so deeply, deeply broken.
Okay.
that you are ready to move forward now. And that doesn't mean every day is going to be a perfect day, and that doesn't mean that you won't need encouragement along the way. That's part of what I do. But when you're deeply, deeply broken, if you just lost your spouse,
you don't need a coach.
You don't need a coach. You need a counselor. You need somebody to walk through that grief process with you.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
So if you're suffering with deep depression, you need to see a psychologist or a counselor to help you work through that process. If you have been through depression and you've seen the light at the end of the tunnel and you're ready to say, okay, I'm ready to move forward, then you get a coach.
Okay. Because you need somebody to guide you through the steps of, okay, what do I need to look for? Am I going through fast, too slow? And so that's kind of some of the things you kind of
What's a step I can do to move myself, continue moving myself past that? What are some tools that I can learn to use that I can help myself when I see myself drifting back that direction? Those kind of things.
And so I'm just assuming, I don't know, if you start a coach process with some individual, do you stay with them? Does it take a certain amount of time? Is it kind of vary? And so just like they might 30 days and they say bye-bye, or 6 months they might say bye-bye or whatever.
Right, it varies.
Okay.
It varies. It could be where we have one session and this person says, you know, give me some you know, through a process of this kind of it's hard for one session because we kind of have to get to know each other just a little bit. So whether we're doing an email coaching situation or whether we're talking on the phone, one-on-one, one session is kind of hard because you want to get to know, they need to get to know you and feel some confidence in you. And also I get to know who that person is a little bit so I can better decide what direction maybe we need to point ourselves.
So when they call you for the life coach, it's not necessarily just spiritual things, or is it mostly spiritual things, or is it just like life direction, career? I mean, what are some of the things that you could help them to have the next step, like getting them unstuck?
Yeah, getting them unstuck. That's good. I'm not a career coach.
Okay.
I would say that I took the extra emphasis on hope coaching and included into that to me is the ministry of encouragement.
Right.
The ministry of spiritual growth, where we work together so it would be more of probably more of a spiritual aspect of it, an emotional aspect versus career.
Okay.
And
just needing direction.
Our health, or there's so many different kinds of coaches. So I wouldn't be a health coach. I might need a health coach.
I think I need a health coach. That sugar, I just love it so much.
But it wouldn't be a health coach or a career coach, or that. We're talking about more spiritual, spiritual emphasis.
Okay, I'm just going to ask this, and if you can't answer, that's fine. When you have talked with different clients about their spiritual growth and they're getting the next step to where they need to be, have they been like, well, you probably can't help me? I mean, have you, like, you get them to a certain point and they're like, okay, I'm fine?
Well, normally people don't say that I can't help them. They just don't follow through on what the next step is.
I see. Okay.
They make a choice that they're just not going to follow through because you can only do so much in a situation, in a relationship.
Right.
So we're working together, and I say, okay, this would be a good next step for you. Maybe they don't read the book, or they don't answer the questions, or they just don't want to do those things. And if they don't want to do those things, then that would tell me that they're not ready for a coach yet. Not that they won't ever be, but they're not ready for a coach. But most people are kind. They don't come right out and say, you can't help me. I don't want to do what you want me to do. They just don't do what you ask them to do.
I just don't think I'm going to do that. Right.
Yeah,
I
right.
got you.
Yeah.
So how does it make you feel when you really know that you've had this client and you've really helped them get unstuck? I mean, like, I know it has to be, I know it's a God thing. I know it is. But beyond, like, what does that make you feel like?
Gosh, humbled. And that fear of God comes in where you think, I want to do this thing right, And so you always are prayerful because you know that you're held responsible. The Bible teaches us that the more you have, the more responsibility that you're expected to, the more responsibility you're given, the higher the expectation is for God. The more he wants to use you, the more he expects from you. So of course it's humbling, and it's a heartwarming feeling. Sometimes they give me way more credit than what I deserve, because actually most of the time they've worked out some of these problems on their own. I've just asked them the right questions, and they're like, "Oh yeah," and they work their own problem out. But when you have somebody that says something really sweet and kind that really overemphasizes what you didn't really I'm married today because of you. You think, no, you're married today because of Jesus,
Right.
And but thank you so much for being so sweet and kind to me,
Yeah.
And so it's a great heartwarming. Anything you do for Jesus, anything he allows you to do for him, and he uses you in that process, it is just beyond your wonderful feeling, beyond your comprehension, and you forget all the fears and
Right.
that you had leading up to that you're going to do something wrong or say something wrong, or
Right. Well, we're running down the last few minutes, so I just want to encourage you to get Carmen's email if you think you need a life coach, if you need direction, or just you're kind of stuck, you just need someone to cheer you on. Then I encourage you to get her email and contact her, and she can answer some questions. And if you want a life coach, then you can go to her website and hit that tab about life coach and get some information on the prices and things. And so I want to say thank you, Carmen, for coming on the program.
Can I give my coaching tip before the coaching tip?
Oh yeah, you better do that real quick.
The action step.
Yeah, the action step.
Yeah, I want to give you an action step. So one of the things about being hopeless is that we forget what God has done for us in the past. So what I'd like to do is encourage you to, every day for the next 7 days before you go to bed, to write down how God has stopped in your life that day. Some people call them God stops, God kisses, God winks, but I call them God stops. What did God do for me today that I know is from him? Now in the beginning it might just be I found a good parking place, but after that you should be able to get past that, and you should be able to write something down on a piece of paper, in a notebook, a little journal, what God did for me today. And then you can look back over that week and see where God actually showed up in your life. And that's going to be a good next step for you to get past hopelessness.
Okay, take that action step. So good. I'm going to try to do that myself. And I just want to say thank you for allowing us to come into your home and share just a little bit about what God's done in our lives, because he loves you and he has a plan for your life. And be blessed.
Take control of the atmosphere. Take me far away from here. There is no better loss than to lose my